Hey guys, with the release of the Outlaw Tribe comes the release of more potential builds. So today I'm bringing you the Elemental Balefire build, a build revolving around propagating elemental effects on your enemies and burning them down surely over time. It's a versatile build able to take on a range of immunities and weaknesses with very little need to swap items out. It works especially well late game and on Gravewalker difficulty. So if you have been waiting for a build you can own it up late game, this is for you. First, I'll talk about items you want, then upgrades, and then finally show you a little bit of gameplay.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
So what items do you need to make this Balefire build work? Well, you can use a lot of items, but I'm using 2 from the Outlaw set, 2 from the Dark set, and 2 from the Warmonger set. Now why am I using all those? Well, because they kind of work together. Let me show you how. The Outlaw set, with 2 of them equipped, 25% chance to inflict a fire, poison, frost, or cursed on an enemy hit. Now that is roughly what, 12.25%, roughly around there, chance for a fire or poison, which is what you need to set this build off. This sword itself also has a 50% chance to freeze enemies when it critically hits, and that's pretty good. That means you can get off an Ice Storm straight after, then another guaranteed critical hit at the end of it based on how we build, and that's a 25% chance to light an enemy on fire when you're critical, so that works well together. And then increased damage to enraged enemies. It's not anything to scoff at, that's just a little bonus there for it. The same with the dagger, gets a little bonus against enraged enemies. You probably won't use this that much. The main thing that really rocks on this is that set bonus, and critical hit damage increase as well, because you get that guaranteed from the end of the Ice Storm. Then we move on over to the Dark set. Increases poison damage to enemies by 33%. That's quite a lot. Keep in mind that there's a 50% chance to poison an enemy with a headshot, so if they're already on fire, just lay those headshots in. You'll be using this bow a lot, and you need to use it a lot. You need to weave the bow and the sword strikes into combat to guarantee that that Balefire keeps propagating. So the set bonus gives you 1 might every time an enemy takes damage from your poison. So straight off, what you need to do is for poison enemies, it builds that might up very, very, very quickly, and then you can get off your might based ability to start doing some fire damage, if it hasn't already propagated fire on these 2 sets and on the chest piece here. Now the chest piece itself is very tanky. It gives you health back if you're on fire. It gives you 50 health when killing an enemy who's on fire. Same with the cloak. These 2 together give you that bonus, and together they make you quite tanky. Once again, 10 health per second while on fire, so that's 20 total health per second when you're on fire, and that almost negates the fire damage completely. You also take 40% less damage from range attacks, which is a lot less damage. Now when it comes to the last Dark set item, it increases poison damage by 90% over the duration, because it makes poison last longer by 90%. So very, very good item. 50% increased damage dealt by Uruk allies, not that important. The main thing there is all these bonuses that work together. Now the gems aren't very important except the green ones. Life gems give you the ability to survive in higher difficulties, and without them you wouldn't be able to. So this build can work, underline the can, depending on how you play in Gravewalker difficulty, if you play safe and if you pick up the 60% increased max health. So 2 life gems in your armor pieces will give you 60%. If you don't have these, captains will one-shot kill you, and some still will. So you 100% need these. And this will mean that when you do take a little bit of residual damage, which you will from this build, you'll probably take a bit of fire damage or maybe a bit of Balefire. This will give you health back. Now damage for these 2 is fine, and this is probably better as a perfect life gem, so your followers will survive the damage that you output. But realistically, you don't want followers around you because you're going to do a lot of explosive damage. So this doesn't really matter. Now let's move on to the upgrades you should get, and this is assuming you already have all the abilities. If you don't, you have to build towards the abilities that are most important, and I'll outline that. Now, Grim Resolve is important. Gain Might every time you damage in combat. This doesn't apply to poison damage. Poison still will tick your might down. So this will stop regular grunts from hitting you and removing your might. In fact, it will increase it. And you need might for this build because you will be pumping out these specific abilities here. Mighty Shot with Venom and Elven Light with Cleansing Blaze. You can, because Headshot has a chance to poison anyway, you might want to change it over to Firestorm, and you might want to change this over to Poison Blast, but do it however your items are rolled. The order of this doesn't matter as long as one is poison and one is fire. Now, let's go back to where we were. We were on Critical Strike and Reprisal. Reprisal, very important. Critical strike chance increases as your health is reduced, so you don't mind taking a little bit of damage on every other difficulty except Gravewalker. Gravewalker, you don't want to take any damage because one hit from a grunt's going to take you down like 48% based on the other video I already released. You don't want to take damage in that. But you will be taking residual damage from things, and Reprisal will mean you crit more often, therefore propagate your elemental effects more often. Now, these don't really matter except for Adamant. You need Adamant, especially on higher difficulties. Make sure you get it, give you another last chance, and in the case of Gravewalker, it will give you a last chance because you don't have one. Stasis Might, also important, means that if you have a fully charged might bar, as you can see there, it'll only take it down to half when you use your Mighty Shot Venom or when you use your Elven Light Cleansing Blaze. Then you can use them together. So you can go bang Venom and then bang Cleansing Blaze and bang Balefire's gone off, if you haven't already with your items. Now in the Predator tree, not very important. I'll ignore all of these, but Bursting Toxin is pretty fun if that's how you want to play. If you want to play stealthy, poison something, and then watch the poison spread when they explode. Okay, these all aren't that important. Pick them up as you see fit. Now, get that, because Detonator Fire Pit causes ghouls to swarm the area. The ghouls will do damage to those who are weak to beasts. Terrify a beast. It gives you another little option there. If you don't want the extra option, get Spider Song, because you'll be doing fire damage when you hit the pit, and then poison damage straight after with the Shelob's Brood there. So it's either of these two. Freeze Pin, get Savage Ice. That's not even an argument there. Just get it. Talon Strike, and then pick up Venom. Or Firestorm, depending on how you want to play. But pick up one of those two. And if you pick up Firestorm, then pick up Poison Blast here, and pick up Cleansing Blaze here. We've been through that. Shadow Strike, make sure you get Shadow Strike Pull, or Shadow Dominate, depending on how you want to play, but early on, get Shadow Strike Pull. It's amazing, you get to separate captains from their grunts, especially in the Overlord fights. You do that and you'll win. Okay, Brace of Daggers, Rain of Blades, pretty simple. Every hit you have has a 25% chance to do an elemental effect, and all of those counts as separate hits, so that's the way to go. Elven Light, Cleansing Blaze, or Poison Blast, we've been through this. These two are very important together because they will make the Balefire effect. If something's poisoned, you see them poisoned, use the Cleansing Blaze, and then boom, they're on Balefire. Ice Storm, get Frostbite. This is a very important skill as well. It's a guaranteed critical strike at the end of the flurry. Bam, critical strike. And this will set off abilities as well. It's also an extremely useful skill, especially higher difficulties when you can't get through savages and defenders normally. Them being frozen means that they're fodder for you, because you can just keep laying this in until they adapt. Now, Consume, don't really need to worry too much about that. Don't need to worry about these either. You won't use beasts that much, so I'm not going to go through this all, but if you want to know why I've picked these abilities up, you can check out another one of my videos that goes through them all individually, but this is the setup that you want every time. Every time. There's no reason to pick up those other abilities. Pick any of these up, but just with Call Mount, it's personal choice. But all of these here, there's no argument. Pick those up. Unless you have something very specific in mind. Now, when it comes to Drain, we're going to go with Quiverous Souls because you do need to weave a lot of bow attacks in. and you need to have a way to replenish your ammo. If you wanted to, you could do rain of arrows as well. If you wanted to forgo a bit of a guaranteed might for every counter, you don't need to perfectly counter to get might in this case here. But let's pick up Quiver of Souls, get your arrows back, you'll be fine. Spectral Glaive, don't need to worry about that. Ring Wraith, you can either go poison weapons or flaming weapons depending on how you want to play. Yet again, poison weapons is generally the better idea. Poison lasts 90% longer, so you have a lot more time to get off your fire-based attacks to start spraying that Balefire. And this isn't an argument either, get this. You can get Waters of the Land. Some people prefer that. Since you won't be using focus too, who am I kidding? You always use focus. There's no argument here. This will waste your focus. You want your focus so you can start using those bow attacks in the middle of combat. You do not want this. There we go. Call followers, bodyguard. Get a bodyguard that increases your poison or your fire damage. Very simple. Get that. Have him with you. You'll do a lot more damage. And that is it for the skills and the upgrades that you need. So let's now go into a bit of combat, shall we? So this Olog here isn't immune to fire or poison. So we start off by getting some fire damage off, and there is the Balefire effect. Now the animation doesn't last for long, but he's still taking Balefire effect right now. You can see a grunt run past. It's amazing. Look at the damage output coming out with this build. He's unable to do anything as the fire makes him roll around in fear. And then Frost propagates while we're hitting, getting off the flurry, getting off the critical hit, propagating more effects, getting a bow swing in there every now and then, using our might spinning attacks to dodge other attacks. Balefire just popping off, and the killer has been killed very easily. So make sure to weave in some range combat every now and then. We're using this one to poison him. Go in there with a bit of fire damage. He does actually dodge it that time though, because he was on the ground, but everyone else is taking that fire damage. We get that flurry off, finish off with a critical there. That poison is ticking him down, and there's the Balefire effect once again. It's on him, it just won't show for long. And there, look at that. Almost a third damage down, barely any time spent with him. Gonna run around fear some more, so it's gonna be a combination of running around fear on fire and a combination of vomiting from the poison. Curse damage comes off every now and then as well, and so does Frost. There's a bit more Balefire, and you can see it does absolutely no damage to you, and that's because of your items. Very, very tanky. Dodge that attack there by having that flurry off. Bit of poison damage coming out still. Get that fire on again, and there it is. The captain is broken, taking immense amounts of damage. Vomits there, doesn't matter, we can just leave him to die. We don't even need to touch him at this point. He's gonna die from that poison. 90% longer duration, remember that. Get some more fire damage off, and bam, he is dead. Curse fire and poison damage hitting at the same time. Showing another clip. Balefire coming out immediately with the combination of our attacks there. Remember, having might is the way to go. So if you can get off your Elven Rage attack, you can do a lot of those might spinning moves in a row. He's still taking that Balefire effect. It does cause absolute chaos around you, so you do have time to just focus on the captain. Even though he is range immune, he's still going to take the full effects of all of our elemental effects. So we just keep the onslaught going. We're getting all that might from the poison. Very easy to defeat enemies with this build. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And while you're at it, hit that bell button next to it too. Be sure to join my Discord, link below, to talk to me and other like-minded individuals. I'm Potates, and I'll see you soon.